Welcome back to Exquisitely Aligned. I'm your host, Gina Meyer-Vincent. Here we empower you to leave the one-size-fits-all life behind so that you can step into your one-of-a-kind life, where you live life on your own terms, making a bigger impact. Essentially, you become exactly what the world is missing today. And today, my guest, Dr. Sara Hart, has done exactly that. Dr. Sara Hart is a lifelong advocate for social change, an inspirational, motivating speaker. She is passionate about Prime Spark, an idea that became a movement to change the way our culture sees and treats senior women. As a speaker, she provides controversial, cutting-edge ideas in an interactive setting. Sara founded HeartCom, a consulting company over 20 years ago, focusing on leadership development, coaching, and team building. She also coaches women who know things need to be different in our society and who value the support of a coach and a like-minded community. Sara lives close to me in Los Altos, California, with her cat, Boo. So I should say closer, right, than yesterday, which was Atlanta. So Dr. Sara Hart, I am so delighted to sit across from you. I was a guest on your show, and I had such fun that I knew there was so many more conversations we could have. And I am so delighted to have you with me today.
Oh, thank you, Gina. That was really fun that day. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
Same here. So this topic is fascinating to me, along with many other things. But I was raised at a time, right? I'm 54 now, that we were told that there was no other process. It was respect your adults, and that's it. And if we didn't, we got the stink eye, which I can't even do very well. And I'm a mother of two. So I don't know where along the way I missed picking that up, But I remember when our children were very young and Mark was very ill, that I was at a point where I was having a conversation with a friend who was a longtime therapist counselor. I'm not sure her title, but I was saying, she said, "How is Mark? How are you?" And more importantly, I said to her, "Oh my gosh, my kids are making me nuts. This is so hard." And she used a term that I had never heard before, but made total sense. She said, "Gina, it doesn't matter that you're raising your children in an adult-centric home. Society is not doing that. So when they go to school, they're learning the habits of the other children, that the children come first." And it was extremely eye-opening and allowed me to understand why my children were acting a certain way that I couldn't, at the moment, control. And it just, when I read your bio, I feel like you get that, and you're here to solve that. So I wish I'd had you 18 years ago in my back pocket, but now we're here today. So tell me a little, how did this journey happen? And even if you want to speak to, today we just speak freely, because I feel like you're a dear friend, and I invite you to share as much or as little as you want. So if you want to start with adult-centric versus child, or if you want to dive into how this started for you.
Oh, Gina, I think when I really think, how did all this start for me? I think I go back to when I was a child. I grew up in Southern Ohio in a very small farming community.
Wow.
And everything there revolved around the church and the school.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody did those two things all the time because those are the only two things to do. So every Sunday evening, we would go to the church, to the basement, for a potluck and some kind of a talk. And I remember several of them, but this one night I remember so well. There was a couple who were missionaries, and they'd been to Africa, and they had, remember the carousel slides?
Yes, yes,
They had,
yes, yes, I do.
they had a carousel slide of their time in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed what they were doing, and they showed this, people and so forth. And they showed children who were very hungry.
Mm.
And it really affected me. And so when it was over and we were walking home, I said to my mother, I want to send some of my food to the children in Africa. How can we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that that was a very early realization for me that what I really have in my gut is the rights and responsibilities of all human beings.
I have goosebumps. Yes. I see that in you, my friend. I see that in you.
And so that has stayed, it's not that long ago that when I captured that memory, but it has been so poignant because I think that it has stayed with me my whole life. I think it's been sort of a guiding light that I had sort of forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
But I went through one thing or another, and that I suppose in terms of what I'm doing now, the most relevant before that was going through the 60s and 70s in the women's movement. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember so vividly marching down Fifth Avenue in New York City, twirling my bra out in front of me. And there were people all along Fifth Avenue, some booing, some clapping, with placards supporting and not supporting, and so forth. And so I get to now this point in my life, and it sort of started with a situation in a doctor's office when I was treated because I was an older woman. That's why I got the treatment that I got.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I left there and I thought, this is not right. It's not right. And I have to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have our rights and responsibilities again.
Right.
From that moment, I said to a coach I was working with at that point, I want to work with and on behalf of older women. And she said, oh, your golden years. And I said, no, not for golden years. I want to work with women in the prime of their lives, in their 60s, 70s, 80s.
Right.
I want to help them find that spark that will ignite them into the world so they continue to use their skills and experience and wisdom. And so then I thought, that's what I want to do. And I thought, okay, the spark in the prime of their lives. Prime Spark. Prime Spark. That's how Prime Spark was born. And I've been doing that now for about 3 years. Our mission, as you said, is to change the way our society sees and treats older women. And I am passionate about it. I was just speaking to somebody, and we were marveling about 3 years ago when I started this. There were a handful of people who had been talking about ageism and for years. But since just the last 2-3 years, it has exploded.
It has. Yes.
So many books are coming out. And I pay attention to the one about women because I work with women, about women over 50, women over 55, women over 60. It's a very exciting time. And I think back to the 60s and 70s, and this is the second women's movement in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And so it is, for me, it's a very exciting time and a very exciting place to be.
Yeah.
So that's a long-winded answer. How did that all come from?
I love long-winded because I'm long-winded. No, I love that. I mean, and it's and I'll try to refrain from interrupting you. I do write notes so that I can remember go back to this one. But yes, please speak freely. Long-winded is fabulous. We're here to go back and forth and have a lovely conversation. And it's I love when because I work with mostly women. I would say it used to be more like 98%. Now it's more like 85. But and that's fine. I love smart men who come for help as well. But I think one of the things I adore about you, Sarah, is how you step into that movement and be a change maker for the positive and realize that this is the time for that. Again, like you said, being on, and I'm laughing about Fifth Avenue because I went to school at FIT on 27th and 7th. So I wasn't far from you. A different time, but, I couldn't have joined you because there was no marching at that time. But at any rate, I can see you doing that. I got the visual, and it's just so exciting, and being able to do it again at a time that's needed. And listen, I understand, and I'm not here to put anybody down who's not ready to step into creating a movement, because Sarah's already doing it. I'm already doing it, right? But we need everybody to step into who they are and realize. I mean, I love this recollection of you on a Sunday watching. I haven't thought about a carousel of slides in a long time, so thank you for that visual too. And I could picture, who the hungry children on that slide. But I think it's always important when we feel a little disconnected from who we are based on this one size fits all paradigm that I feel like we can live in. We don't have to, but but Gina and Sarah, you should do this. You should quiet down. You should keep your bra on. You should, right? If we followed those things, we wouldn't be here today on my show, and I wouldn't have been on your show a few weeks back. And I commend you for stepping into this. And I love that you're able to go back and have that reflect to remembering rights and responsibility as a very young child. I think that these things show up at a very young age. So if you're listening and you're a grandmother or an aunt or a mother or whatever with a child in your life, start recognizing and I think shine a light on these things, because they're powerful moments that really show and shape who we are. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And they, I remember that she didn't make fun of me.
Good.
She didn't make fun of me. And that's really remarkable, because she could have. And she said, oh, that's just not going to be possible. There's just no way. I mean, she explained that we couldn't do it and why we couldn't do it, but she didn't say, oh. So, it's important to take seriously these kinds of statements.
Yes.
Even though they seem fantastical.
Right.
Gina, in the last 10 years, 6 years, it wasn't even that long, I was driving somewhere. This was before COVID, because I was going somewhere. And on the radio, there was a story about, I think it was the Ebola tragedy in one of the African countries, particularly. Yeah. And they said that what they had found was that Clorox was one of the best things they could use. Oh. And I'm driving along. Clorox, I can get Clorox. I can get big boxes of Clorox, and I can ship it over to whatever this country was. And so I got to the office where I was going, and I thought, Sarah, get a grip. You can't ship Clorox to Africa. I mean, you can't do that. And I thought, oh, that is just so typical of, those early things stick with you. I mean, I still wanted to send Clorox to Africa. I mean, it was crazy.
No, but it's so, like, for me, my business is built around what I discovered when Mark was ill years ago. and it's our heartfelt desires, like your desire to turn the car around and make a stop, and then get to the nearest UPS store, and maybe the bank first, and then the store. But and our truths, our soul level truths, they're so deep, and they do show up in us when we're a child. And I love the fact that your mom explained, hey, okay, Sarah, I'd love to assist you in shipping this food, but this is what we're up against. Africa is not around the corner, but and I think that's important to, even when we're a busy parent with a young child and so many demands on our schedule and on our plate, to take the time to, even if you say, let's talk about that even further a little bit. Okay, so you really are passionate about these. I see the fire in you, that this excites you, and you're going to be up to big things. And here you are up to big things. So, I love that. During your life, was there, or would it be okay to ask you what unfolded in the doctor's office, or is that too private?
Oh no, that's
Okay.
fine. No, I tell that story in one of the talks I give. It's the opening story.
Okay.
I had gone to the doctor because my calves hurt when I walked. And my mother had this, and I knew that it could be serious, and that I needed to pay attention.
Okay.
So, he wondered why I was there, and he never looked at me. He was looking at his iPad the whole time. He never looked at me, and I know what he was looking at was old woman legs or whatever, but he never looked at me. So he asked me why I was there. And I said, well, when I walk, my calves hurt. And he said, well, how far do you walk? And I said, well, I like to walk as close to 10,000 steps a day as I can. I don't always make it, but I try. And he said, oof, I have clients who can't walk to the front door and back to get their mail. What you need to do is find a path with benches.
Well, that's a weird answer.
Yeah. And I thought, would he have said that to me if I were 30 or 40? No, he would have helped me figure out how to continue walking. And I did say to him, and I wish I hadn't. I would now, because now I'm so much more aware of this stupidity that we put up with. George, don't tell me to find a path with benches. Last year I did the California AIDS Ride, 545 miles from San Francisco to Los Angeles. I don't need a path with benches. Now, I didn't say that, but I wish I had. And I did think, would he have said that to me if I were 30 or 40? So I thought about that later, and I got madder and madder and madder. And I got mad at him, and I got mad at our medical system that doesn't pay very much attention to women at any age, let alone older women.
Right.
And I also got upset with me for not standing up for myself more at the time. So I don't think I would do that again. I don't think I would put up with it, but we need to be aware of that kind of treatment. I mean, when are we belittled? Yeah. When are we ignored? Yeah. When are we just discounted? And call people on it, because it's not right. And you don't need to take that kind of behavior from anybody. Right. So that was what happened to me in that doctor's office. And I just said, no, this is not right. This has to change.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I had a very similar thing happen to me. I don't think we spoke about any of this on your show, but I went to the doctor. I was new to California. She was going to be my, I had high hopes, a female, little older than I. So I was very excited about this. Asian, dual trained in family medicine like my husband, and Chinese medicine. So I thought I hit the jackpot, because I love acupuncture, because it works so quickly on me. My body accepts it beautifully. And My hormones were changing. I was in a ton of pain. This was before my hip replacement and shoulder replacement, before I knew what damage was in there. And I was trying to figure out, why am I in so much pain? Why am I gaining weight? Why am I exhausted? I had just been diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, which is a thyroid disease. My mother has a thyroid issue, not Hashimoto's. My grandmother had. So I could see it right in family history. So I went to this woman thinking, this is going to be great. I told my husband, I can't wait. And I usually do not get excited to go to the doctor, but I felt like she had the answers. This was going to be ideal. Like you, Sarah, on the computer, looking down, typing the whole time. She'd ask me a question, no eye contact. So I finally stopped speaking. I wasn't finished with the question, my answer. And she picked up her head. And I said, well, you're not looking at me. I didn't think you were listening. I was so shocked, and I know, I guess my hormones must have been raging that day. Maybe that's why I got it out.
That's good. Get them raging more often.
Oh, and so I had brought to her a Word document that I had prepared for other doctors, just kind of being new to California, just kind of recapping things that pivotal moments in my health, so that somebody could just have it as a document while I'm a visual person. So I prepared it for them while I spoke. I figured they could highlight or write a note. Let's check thyroid. Okay, this could be that, And she looked at me with a straight face and flipped through the pages. She said to me, if you know everything about yourself, why are you here? Because I'm not a doctor and I'm looking to partner with somebody. And this was a female older than me who I thought was going to respect me. So it happens, and it's just very sad, frustrating. I came back. I was hopeful still. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I finally fired her and said, I cannot, they called me back, and I said, I'm not coming back. She treats me with such disrespect. Why would I give her a penny of my money, my insurance money, or a minute of my time? And it is devastating, right? And you know what? I would have said a heck of a lot more had I known that this is what I was going to step into. But, I hear you with the way I say shoulda, coulda, woulda, had I known. And at first I really thought I was on the show Get Punked or Candid Camera, because I thought to myself, my husband must have put me up to this, knowing that I was so excited for a doctor's appointment. Maybe he's in on it. But the joke was on me. So yeah, it was not pretty. And it is sad. And you are right. So tell us, what do you hear or find maybe consistently from your clients? What maybe things that you hear repetitively?
Can I just make a comment, Gina?
Please.
I think that is really important for everybody, but especially for women, to hear that we have to find doctors who will partner with us. Yes. They know the medicine, but I know my body.
Right, exactly.
And I know that it can be, to some doctors, really annoying for the patients who go online and start reading all about everything. Mm-hmm. But that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I want to find a doctor who appreciates the fact that I am learning and I want to partner.
Yeah.
Rather than just be told what to do.
Right.
And so that is really, really important.
Yeah. And we could probably talk about this for 3 days, because it is important. And I think the other thing is knowing that you're allowed to fire your doctor. They can fire you if you're non-compliant. My husband's had to fire some patients over the years due to, usually they were drug seekers, unfortunately, looking for prescriptions for pain meds. and they have that right. But we also have the right to say, you're not for me. This is not working. And partnering, like you saying, going online and researching a bit, I feel like that's preparing you just like we prepare to get on a podcast episode, we prepare to show up for our clients, we prepare to go to the doctor's office. I mean, I think it's very different than years ago. Mark had a couple people who came in at different times and said, my child has this, you need to give him this prescription, without like letting him look down the throat or check the temperature. That's a little scary because, although mom is probably right, he needs to document that he saw the child has swollen glands and they ran a test and it was strep and, whatever, that's okay. But I think that when we go into an appointment informed, because for me, medical terms are usually over my head. Even with my hair sticking up, I can't grasp them, And I think it's important that, I'm not saying you have to study and be prepared, but always make an educated decision. I had a naturopath wanted me to take something that she would guarantee, almost wink, wink, right? Of two females. They were colleagues. Go see her. She's pain management right here in my office. Gina, we'll get you out of pain for sure, and you'll drop the weight. This works beautifully on women your age. Now, they were both younger than me, and it's called low doses of naltrexone, naltrexone is a drug that changes your brain chemistry for people who are coming off opioids. And they use it in low doses for women my age, right? What is my age at the time? Hormone changes, gaining weight, and I had pain. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, this drug is used for what? I was writing notes. Yeah, I'm not sure this is for me. And they were like, no, we'll send you videos. They started, both of them, emailing me, my client said this, or my patient had this. Here's a documentation. Here's a study. Well, I Googled, what to be afraid of, what to watch out for, the horror stories of, I forgot the real Google, what I put in there. But what I read, I said, no way on earth, causes nightmares. Just the fact that it changes your brain chemistry, I thought to myself, I'll live with the weight on. Once I'm out of the pain, hopefully I can exercise again, and now that I have 2 new joints, I am exercising again. But it can come at so many different levels. And I love the fact that you are in agreement with me, because it is something that people need to know happens, and it's your right to say, I'm not taking, and I did. I said, I'm not taking this drug, and I left. And that's when I found the other doctor who was, busy filling in her charts so that she didn't have to stay afterwards to write about me, It was crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. And additionally, the thing that you said, Gina, we can fire a doctor. We don't have to stay with a doctor. I didn't stay with this guy who told me to find benches. He said, go out and make a follow-up appointment. And I went out and said, I need a follow-up appointment, but not with him. Good and the receptionist looked at me sort of strange, but did it. And then when I went back, I saw somebody else. And this doctor said, I didn't see you the first time. Why are you seeing me? And I said, because I didn't like the other doctor.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, he's my boss. And I didn't say, well, poor you. I just said, oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting that's who you would end up with. But did you have better luck in that practice with?
Absolutely. I mean, this doctor was this doctor lets me decide when I need a treatment because he
Yeah.
trusts me now to understand my body.
Yes. I mean, you've been in it, right? Since
Yeah,
birth. I
yeah.
don't, you know, I mean, listen, I have taught yoga for a decade and a half, probably more. And I realized how disconnected I was more than 20 years ago prior to starting yoga from being in my body. And then when I started teaching, I could see who was in their body and knew their body well and who was kind of living outside their body. Balance was usually difficult, many things, but we really have to start owning, right? That this is our mode of transportation. So can I ask you, because I'm not familiar with what would cause the calves to hurt, but just in case someone is listening who has
Yeah,
that
yeah,
issue.
it's nothing to mess around with. It's I have vascular disease,
Okay.
peripheral vascular disease, and what that means is that I have tiny little arteries.
Mm,
Thank you, Mother. That was if she gave me a lot of good things. That was not one of the good things. And they fill up with plaque,
oh, okay.
and so you can treat it with other drugs and so forth, but at a certain point you can't. And so what I've had several surgeries and had
Mm,
stents put in my arteries, like they do with hearts,
sure. Yeah.
and because he knew I wanted to be able to walk.
Absolutely.
I didn't, and the worst thing I can do, the worst thing is to sit down.
Yeah.
I need to keep walking. And so
Yeah.
this jerk before told me to sit down. So not only was it not gonna, was I not gonna be able to walk like I wanted to, it was gonna keep making it worse.
Right. And that's and for me, knowing you the little bit I do, I feel like it would take away like the fire and the passion in your heart to be stagnant. I see you as a mover and a shaker, a change maker, and those kind of people cannot sit still. It would go against us, right? So,
Yeah, I think that there's, I'm learning about this, Gina. I think there's a fine line or some kind of a line. Maybe it's a fat line. I don't know. But I think some kind of a line between insisting on continuing to do everything the way we've done it and the way we
right.
want to do it, and gracefully accepting that
Yeah.
as we get older, our bodies change, period.
Mhm.
They do change.
Yes.
I mean, and no matter how well you take care of it, you can do a lot of positive things, and so your body will be much better than if you hadn't.
Right.
But still, our bodies get older, and so I'm not sure about when do we gracefully accept I actually just can't do that anymore.
Hmm.
When do we decide I am not going to accept that stricture and I'm going to keep doing it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I'm laughing because my girlfriend was just here. My best friend Michelle from Charlotte. She just left on Thursday night on the red eye, and I hadn't seen her in 3 years because I left Charlotte, and then I left in the midst of COVID. Then it wasn't safe. Blah blah blah. Time passes, and not that she looked older, but we were talking about that exact topic. Like, okay, things are shifting. And I said,
We're going down.
yes. And I said to her, for you, I just thought it was because I couldn't do, she teaches yoga as well. I said, I thought it was because, I couldn't lift my arm before surgery. So I couldn't do plank, down dog, chaturanga. I couldn't exercise. She goes, oh no, it's happening to all of us. She just came from her girlfriends from college. They met. And she said, no, it's happening to all of us, not just you. Because I was thinking, okay, this is happening because I was in pain for 4 years, needing new parts and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I find myself the aspirations that I had, Mark would like to surf. Our daughter has tried twice and she's really good at it. She can watch people. And I don't know what the name of this is, but she watches people and can mimic in seconds. She's very aware of her body and how to move, and it moves beautifully. And Mark said he wants to surf, and I'm looking at him going, you're 60, you're a double organ transplantee. Do you really need to surf? Can't you stay on your paddleboard? I asked you to buy a faster paddleboard. Let's just get you a faster paddleboard. You'll be happy. But I said to my girlfriend, yeah, now that I have two new joints, like, I don't think I want to ever try surfing, things shift, right? And it's not that I'm going to tell you I am fearful. Somebody asked me recently, she had surgery, but different surgery. It involved her spine, which is, as they told me in the hospital, because I said, why do I have to sleep here? The hip, you let me go home like within 2 minutes of closing me up, and they said, oh, the shoulder, it's a very fragile joint. And I said, is this the worst surgery? Someone told me this is the worst surgery you could have, replacement. They're like, no, spine. But anyway, she had some spinal surgery, not devastating with rods and stuff. But she asked me, are you nervous? Are you timid in like how you use your right arm and so forth? And I can't say I am. Thankfully, I trust the parts I saw the x-ray. I see that they're like, the doctor was giving me the thumbs up immediately. This looks great. I'm like, okay, but yeah, there are times where I think we have to take a step and just, for me, I always use my intuition. It is my guiding force. It's in my gut. I get goosebumps in certain ways, goosebumps in other ways. And I just, know when to step into something and when that day is just not going to be the right day for me to do it. What guides you, Sarah?
Yeah, me too. I figure I know better. I mean, I don't know medicine, but I know my
Right.
body. And I know, how do I know? I don't know how I know, but I know. Yeah. So I do the same thing. What I'm reminded of though, Gina, when you were saying that thing changes, reminded of not very long ago, I was in a doctor's office and the nurse was measuring me. And she said, okay, you're 5'2". I said, no, I'm 5'3". And she said, you're actually 5'2". And I said, I am 5'3". I have been 5'3" or 5'4" my entire adult life. I am not 5'2". And we got into this argument. And finally she said, ma'am, you are 5'2". So at some point, if they've got the measuring rod and it's, that was very funny.
You know what? Next appointment, you need to schedule it like right after you wake up, because I'm told that when we lay flat overnight, we regain our height. So
I'm going to do that. I'm going to get it like an 8:00 appointment.
Right, exactly.
Right now. Or after doing, I think, yoga. I think you can stretch and yeah. So,
absolutely. That's when you make your appointments. First thing, you go in when they unlock the door, and then you tell them, no, I'm not going to sit yet. Can you measure me first? Then I'll sit in the lobby and wait for you to be prepared.
I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's something to, wrap your brain around, that this is really happening. I know when I was on your show, one of the questions you had asked was to the effect of, how am I experiencing? How did you ask? I forgot how you asked. Do you remember? But am I experiencing aging, or how do I
experience getting older? And if you do, what is the experience? And if you don't, why is it that you think you don't?
Yeah. And I answered you and I said, I feel it in my body. I see it in my body, but luckily in my spirit, in my soul, in my mind, I feel very young and happy, really content, satisfied. And I think that's important, to make sure that we don't allow the disappointment, like when I step out of the shower to grab my towel and catch a glimpse of me in the mirror, not to let that overtake my day, and to remember what's really important. And one of the things Michelle and I were talking about are a few of the friends that we lost along the way. We're both 54, and we're very blessed to still be walking this beautiful earth and experiencing all these connections, like being here with you today. That, especially now, I'm celebrating that I'm pain free. That's a huge thing. I mean, I realized it when a friend said, you look really good. And I thought to myself, well, I didn't get my hair cut, haven't been in the sunshine any more than normal. Like, my lipstick is the same. What's different? They've seen this outfit probably 20 times, and it took me a second, and I said, you know what? It's the first time I'm pain free, that you're really seeing me without that noise in the back of just constant pain. And I was lucky enough to tune it out based on, different things, mindset shifts we can do with yoga and breathing. But it still was in the background, wearing me down. So I'm glad you brought that up, and gracefully accepting our bodies and all the changes that come along is just a beautiful way of saying. And I don't know if it's a fat line or a thin line either. I'm going to have to, I'll sleep on that and get back to you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, but what you said, Gina, and I told you this during our other conversation, that I don't know, 90% of the women I've talked to on my podcast have said similar to what you said. Yeah, I can feel it in my body. I can see it in my body. But me, my spirit, who I am, I'm better. I feel better than I've ever felt. I feel more alive. I feel more me. And so that's what we need to focus on. I mean, that is so much more important than exactly where, I won't talk about specific body parts, where are they located now as compared to where they used to be located. It's just not important as compared with me. Who am I inside?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Sara, I know that you have amazing things going on within your community, within your business. Can you share with us maybe a few?
Well, the most exciting thing right now I have is I'm just getting ready to launch at the end of October a mastermind for senior women, for women who have been very successful and have been good at what they've done and enjoyed it. But they're sort of at a point where we think, okay, that's all been really good, but now what? I mean, what's next?
Yeah.
What's next? And I want, we said this, I want women to realize that at no time in my lifetime has there been a time when the world more needed older women's wisdom and skills and experience than right now. So please get out and do whatever is meaningful to you to make a difference. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be a very small, quote unquote, thing. So anyway, the point of the mastermind is for us to work together and helping each other figure out what's next. What will be really meaningful to me? Given that, if I'm 50, I can easily imagine I've got 40 more years to live.
Right.
What am I going to do with that 40 years?
Yeah. I love that. I love that in so many ways. And we are very like-minded and like-hearted, because today I was going to offer significant satisfaction and sangria at the end of the show. It's probably a little different, but similar in the respect that I think oftentimes we call it success after significance after success, right? We may have had a high earning job. We may have supported children. We may have supported a spouse in a high earning job, and we may have done all three or two of them, right? And oftentimes it's almost like I want to say chasing something, let's say the Instagrammable life, what most people think is ideal. But for me, I would say it leaves us feeling a little flat. And
And
so,
tired.
really, yes, I'm tired. That's perfect. Yes. Especially because I'm not a runner. I'm a walker. I'll be walking with you. And now that my hip is working, Sarah, I won't have to sit as often. Believe me, I knew the paths that were flat here in South Orange County because, I couldn't handle them before. But yes, I would be walking alongside you. And we can avoid all the benches and let that doctor know that we'll send him a little video. But tired is right. And I think that sometimes we get to a point in our life where we realize we're yearning for something more, that deeper, richer, more meaningful life. And I love that you're offering that. You said in October?
Yeah, it's the last full week in October we're starting. It goes once a month for 6 months.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think women that I've spoken to are just like you said, Gina. They've spent their lives, their adult lives, basically taking care of.
Yeah.
They've taken care. They may have taken care of a very significant job. They've taken care, oftentimes, of a spouse, of a family, of a home, of an extended family. They've done it all.
Mm-hmm.
And where are they?
Exactly.
Where am I in all that? I don't even know at this point what I want. Because I haven't, it's been so long since I focused on that.
Yeah.
Maybe never.
Right. That sentence I heard as a yoga instructor years ago. I was in my 30s, a young mom, and women would come and say, "Hey, how are you?" And oh, my youngest just moved out. We're empty nesters. I was like, "Oh, congratulations!" I'm covered in pretzel goop from my son eating pretzels and then hugging me. He would very nicely hug me and then wipe his hands on me. He still is a smart cookie. And, so my husband would be like, what's on your leggings? Oh yeah, I know what it is. It's pretzel goop. But, they would have a look of disappointment. And listen, I realize it's bittersweet when your children grow up and move out. But at the same time, it's like retiring. We've worked all our life. We're looking towards that, right? We speak about it when we're in 30s, our 40s, 50s. And then all of a sudden people retire and they're like, what do I do? Yeah, I've given up pieces. I like to say we give up pieces of ourselves. And sometimes we forgot what those pieces are. So what I loved about when you were talking about being at church that Sunday night at the potluck is being able to recall that piece of you and then take it and blow it out the way you have as a rock star. And I celebrate you for that, because I think if we look back to our childhood, we can often find those memories. And listen, you don't have to do like Sarah and I have a podcast or appear on shows, but even just stepping into whatever makes you happy deep within, feel fulfilled, wake up with a spark in your eyes, ready to take on the day. And that could be little things, making sure you're taking care of yourself. And then whatever it was you maybe were passionate about years ago that maybe you put on the back burner, it's still there. And so I love that we started the show with that. And we've come full circle, Sarah. I celebrate you and all you do and how you appear in the world and how you give a voice to those things that are so needed and timely right now. So needed.
Thank you, Gina. This has been delightful. I just love talking to you.
Same here. So I'd love to pull a card, see what comes up.
Yes.
These are the opening to possibilities cards. There's 42 in a deck, and in here on the front there is a word, and on the back there is a statement with 3 questions. You can answer 1, 2, or all 3. I'd like to finish. There we go. And I'll just thumb through, and then you just tell me when to stop. Okay, so I'll start now. Oops, I don't want to fall.
Stop.
Okay. Mind and spirits. This is appropriate. Stretch, not just your body, but also your mind and spirit. How do you open your mind? How do you tune into your spirit? And what's next on your list?
That's perfect.
I was just going to say, usually I did charge these cards with the energy. All decks have been charged for it to be the right card, and it definitely is today. So this is totally you.
That's wonderful. Can I get those cards somewhere?
Yes, I will send you a deck. That's
Thank
my
you.
hope. I wanted your address. But yes, do you need me to read the questions again?
No, I stretch my mind. Is my mind the first one?
Yeah, mind and spirit.
Yeah.
You can do which, yeah.
Yeah, I stretch my mind, I think, sort of by continuing to learn. One of the things, this is crazy, but one of the things that I've decided I'm going to learn is Instagram. I don't understand it. I don't understand how it works. It makes no sense to me. But I just, right before you and I came on, I just was talking to somebody and they said, you have to start doing Instagram. That's where everything is happening right now. And I thought, well, not everything's happening. Okay, I will learn Instagram, and before I say I hate it, I'll learn it. So,
Yeah.
But I stretch my mind by continuing to learn. I stretch my spirit, I think, with my meditation practice.
Yeah.
Because almost every time I have any kind of a significant meditation, there's some kind of an opening with it.
Yeah.
It's not always positive, but it is something. And what was the third one?
The third one, hang on. What's next on your list?
Well, I'm going to learn Instagram. That's what I'm going to do.
Right. And I have to tell you, for me, I have a love-hate relationship. And usually I love lots of things, but I do have a love-hate relationship with all social media.
Yes,
because yes, we are told everything is happening there. And I answer like you, well, not everything. You know, I still like to connect with people in person. And I know you speak on stage, you have a show. And so, yes, but I do have a love-hate. So when you're done with Instagram, maybe you want to manage my account as well.
I'll let you know if I get to that point.
Because I know when you do something, you do it well and you master it, and you're.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't kick and scream and do any social media, let alone Instagram. But I'll try. I'll stretch my mind and I'll try.
Well, definitely make sure we connect if we're not already connected on Instagram. So, Sara, it's always fun being with you. I burn extra calories because I laugh from my belly. I smile big and I make nice muscles here in my cheeks. So thank you, honestly, from my heart to yours for everything you do, because you're a powerful woman making a bigger impact in the world and really staying true to who you are. Those, what did we say? Was it rights and responsibility? And, you know, you make the world a better place, and I'm happy to walk this earth with you at the same time. It's really a pleasure.
Thank you, Gina. Ditto, 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 ditto.
Thank you. And we'll have to do this again, because I wrote notes and there were so many other things that we could have gone down. But I will say, for those of you listening, besides Sara's event in October, last week in October, please join her. All of her information is at the bottom of the show notes. You can connect with her, and I encourage you to do so. And if you're interested in a private 2-hour transformation like no other, I invite you to Significance, Satisfaction with a touch of sangria or something else fruity and bubbly. My name is Gina Vincent. Until next time, be exquisite.